Hello, I'm Rabbi Elton from the Great Synagogue in Sydney, and our personality today is Sholem Aleichem, Solomon Rabinovitch, born in 1859 and dies in 1916. Sholem Aleichem is perhaps the greatest ever writer in the Yiddish language. At a time when Yiddish was considered an inferior language, maybe not a language at all, just jargon, just slang, just a mongrel, which the Jews of Middle Europe happened to use, Sholem Aleichem was convinced it was a true language, a full language, and could be a great language used for literary purposes. And so he dedicated his life to promoting the use of Yiddish and contributed some of the greatest literature in the Yiddish language, which is still enjoyed today, both in its original, as we witness a revival of Yiddish, and also in translations. He was the creator of Tevye the Milkman, which of course is the inspiration for the musical Fiddler on the Roof, which contains an authentic Sholem Aleichem joke, which is, "What's the blessing on the Tsar? May God keep the Tsar far away from us." He was born in the Ukraine in 1859, and he was also sent away to yeshiva to learn to be a rabbi, and served as a rabbi for 3 years in the early 1880s. However, he also turned to more secular pursuits, including language and literature. At the age of 15, he wrote a Yiddish version of Robinson Crusoe, the famous novel, and he was also at that point writing in both Hebrew and Russian. But he turned almost exclusively to writing in Yiddish as his career matured and blossomed. He chose the name Sholem Aleichem as his nom de plume because it's a traditional Jewish greeting. It means peace be upon you, and is a friendly way to open any conversation, and I suppose a friendly way to invite a reader into the worlds he created. By 1890, he was the most celebrated and senior figure in the Yiddish literary world, much admired by Yiddishists all over the world. But in 1905, he was forced to flee Eastern Europe in a wave of pogroms and came to America, where he was already very famous. His books were already well known, but he struggled throughout his life. His beginning was difficult. His father was bankrupt when he was just a boy, and his mother died of cholera when he was 13. And really, tragedies and difficulties stalked Sholem Aleichem's whole life. He himself made money, made fortunes, and lost them again, and was forced to undertake exhausting tours of the country of America, reading from his novels, reading from his short stories, and speaking to the crowds in order to make a living. Unfortunately, his family had to stay in Switzerland, and the strain of maintaining 2 households, one in New York and one in Geneva, was a great burden on him financially. And combined with the economic crash in 1890, which cost him his fortune, led to further difficulties. These were compounded by the diagnosis of tuberculosis, which was eventually the cause of his death. To mark his silver anniversary, his 25 years as a writer, some of his friends bought back the royalties on all of his writings, and that enabled him to live with some comfort for the rest of his life. He died in 1916, the most famous and celebrated and highly regarded Yiddish writer in the world, and 100,000 people attended his funeral in New York City. His stories are still enjoyed today, and everyone who taps their toe to one of the melodies from Fiddler on the Roof should know they owe the ultimate inspiration to Sholem Aleichem. Thanks for joining.